Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Shows Style and Spirit. I am Ebony, of course. And as you can see from the title of this video, I'm going to be giving my commentary on an interview that reality TV star and business owner Monique Samuels did with Mr. Jay Hill, a podcaster, a very large YouTuber. And she talks about her experience on the show Love and Marriage DC. Oh my gosh. So, we're going to get into it all. And I believe that you all will resonate with what Monique Samuel says. And it's going to be interesting because now the commentary has crossed over from viewers of the show to someone who has actually worked with him. Now, before we get into it all, I ask that you please hit the like button on this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Everything that I'm saying in this video is alleged and just my opinion. And the Copyright Act of 1976 says that my fair use commentary on this soundbite is allowed. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Shout out to Mr. J Hill. His YouTube channel is called Mr. J Hill Network. I am going to post the link to his interview with Monique Samuels both in the description box as well as the comments. Definitely check out the interview. They have a long conversation, nearly an hour and a half, where they talk about relationships. And pretty much my takeaway from it was that sometimes some couples have unrealistic expectations for a relationship, for a marriage. And then that's when things can go sideways. Of course, we all know that a marriage can end for multiple reasons, but their conversation was really about knowing yourself before you head into a permanent relationship, loving yourself and not being a people pleaser. And Monique talks about when she was married, being a people pleaser and how that really benefited her ex-husband. And then once she stopped people pleasing and created boundaries, then she said that's when things kind of, went left. So it was definitely a great conversation. Be sure to head over to Mr. J Hill Network and check it out. So now we're going to talk about Monique's experience working on Love and Marriage DC. I was very surprised by she went from the time he approached her about working together all the way to how it was on camera, off camera. And she said some interesting things about the cast. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and play this clip and then come back with my commentary.
And I had to think about what was I going through during that time period. That was during Love and Marriage DC. I was stressed the fuck out. Love and Marriage DC, let me tell you, that was my greatest nightmare, but my greatest teacher. Because it basically it put me out there without any context. Like on this show, when I tell you I was ranting and raving, I was at my wit's end with the marriage. And I was like doing all that I could. I'm like trying to get this dude to see time is of the essence. Like, I really need you to step up. I need you to wake up. Please. Yes. But imagine you being on camera and having a conversation, and now something's said in the conversation that pops you off. They ain't showing nothing about that. They just showing you pop off. So when I tell you, it was like every single scene I was yelling and I was going off. And when I tell you, the whole synopsis of the show was get to know the real full me. Get to know the real me. And they got me, like, only had me yelling and going crazy, right? Yo, it was terrible. And it was crazy because I came from a show where I was a fan favorite. And then now I'm supposed to have my own show. And I'm like the most hated. And it was tough. I was like, damn, they are on me hard. And I had to get to the point where I said, you know what? I feel like this is the part of the story where my ego starts to die. I had to kill my ego. I had to care even less about what people thought about me because only I knew what was really going on, behind the scenes. And it was a huge test of just like, all right, let's see how much you've grown.
How did that show come about?
So when I left Housewives, there was one of the producers that used to be a part of Housewives franchise who started his own. He approached me with support and came at me with some like, we black and these white shows, they don't show black people in the light that they should be shown in, and it can be natural drama. It doesn't have to be this scripted drama, and it created a relationship of like, all right, let's see what we can do together. Let's work together. So I believed him, but he used the black card. And he did me worse than the white folks. I was like, he could have waited to the second season to trash me.
So you think Love and Marriage DC did you worse than Real Housewives of Potomac?
Yeah. Damn. It was worse. It was like there was no context. There was no reason to all of the fussing and fighting. It was like, it's love and marriage. So show the full outlook of what a love and marriage, like show what all of it looks like, right? I have always been very open on camera. Like I like to be as transparent as possible. But if my spouse is not also that way, then if you're not saying anything, they're only going to be showing what I'm saying. So it was very unbalanced. And then it was just like, we got her, dog her ass out. Like, it was like my name was used to gain the audience. And I mean, I felt like I got trashed on that show. They didn't show any of my real moments. They didn't show the moments where I gave more context to what was happening. It was just like me, like, but I was the one reacting. It was me reacting, but show why I was reacting like that, And it was very unorganized, on camera, off camera. It was a mess, and I left after the first season.
Do you think it was good for anybody else? Like, I guess that was on the cast.
Yeah, I actually had some people come up to me. I did an expo, and a lot of people came up to me just like from DC in general, and they were just like, you know what? I don't know if anybody's ever told you this, but you actually helped to put certain places on the map in DC because you actually filmed in DC with your show.
Okay.
Because like a lot of shows come and they use the DC name or the DMV, but they don't really show DC. And they were like, with the go-go intro, all of that influence, they was like, we appreciated that.
So you helped produce it too?
Basically. Yeah, basically. I remember when they were talking about doing the intros, I said, now, you got to have a go-go intro. I said, we can't do DC like that. Like, so I definitely had a lot of influence in how the show was being like handled. I casted it and all of that stuff.
Oh, you got like the cast too?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
So you kind of like put niggas on.
Yeah, I did.
Put niggas on the map. Did the cast thank you? Or did they dog you too?
Some of them dogged. Some of them thanked. Some of them were grateful. Some of them no. Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. You get to see who's real, and you get to see who is like chasing that limelight. That when them cameras cut on, man, people show you who they truly are. That's for sure.
So like you've really seen like people change in real time.
Oh yeah.
Who changed?
I ain't being messy. I ain't gotta do that no more.
It's funny because it's like I don't care. Like
everybody else.
Like,
they know who changed.
Okay, so let's get into it all, shall we? So, Monique said that being on Love and Marriage DC stressed her the F out. And she said that she got a lot of flack, of course, because from the viewer's perspective, we mostly saw her yelling at her ex-husband, Chris Samuels. And that's true, because Love and Marriage DC season 1, it was very, very confusing for me when it came to Monique, because just like she said, she came from the Real Housewives of Potomac where she was a fan favorite. And then Carlos used her popularity, her name, her notoriety to promote Love and Marriage DC. It seemed quite genius. But the disconnect was seeing her be laid back and down to earth and relatable on Potomac to being like this crazed witch who was like ranting and raving, just like she said in that soundbite. And I was like, so one of these personas is fake. It's either she was faking on Potomac and she's like super mean to Chris, or this persona on DC is fake. And it was just so confusing and disappointing for me. But Monique said, they did not show everything, like show Chris being an imperfect husband, triggering Monique. And I think that that's very fair because the way she was depicted on Love and Marriage DC was that she was just sick of him. I was like, I wonder, like, is she not attracted to him anymore? Is she tired of being married? Were those rumors her last season on Potomac true? Is there someone else? And I just feel like she was just set up. And she said that the show lacked context. She said the show was called Love and Marriage. So show the love, show the ups, and show everything about the husband that would lead to Monique ranting and raving. So it sounded like it was very imbalanced. And that explains a lot, Monique. Because again, I was so confused by your portrayal on the show because it was so opposite of Bravo, of Potomac. And now that I'm thinking about it and I'm giving my commentary, I'm looking at my notes, I wonder, did Carlos and Kingdom Reign, in my opinion, did they set out to portray Monique Samuels drastically different to try and get the viewers to think, oh yeah, it's just so scripted over there on Bravo. That's scripted reality because look at how Monique is acting on Love and Marriage DC. It's the total opposite. So Bravo, it must be fake over there. Like, I wonder, was she like a pawn in a game to shade Bravo or eat at their credibility? And that is something that just came to me. And I could totally see that if, he's still upset about the way things happened by the end of season 9 from the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And Monique, she called out Carlos King. And what was so interesting about it, I said this in my intro to this video. Ideally, we hear mostly from the viewer's perspective. People will say the editing was horrible in this episode. It was so choppy, so confusing. And then to hear a similar commentary from a reality TV star who worked with him, that is very telling. And it just kind of merges the viewer experience with the reality TV star experience. And oh my gosh, Monique Samuels said that Carlos played the race card. She said that he reached out to her and said, these white networks, they don't know how to portray Black people. It will be basically a whole new level, I guess, working with him. I'm paraphrasing. And she said that she was open to doing it. But she said, because he played the race card with me, but he did me worse than the white folks. And that says a lot to his finesse. He definitely finessed Monique because I remember I follow Monique Samuels on Instagram and she would go live. And her last season on Potomac, y'all, it wasn't just about the fight with Candace. It was the trauma of knowing that your cast members, they were trying to cook up a lie saying that her young baby at the time was not biologically Chris's, her husband at the time. So I think that Monique was really upset that the cast would go so far. And Candace Dillard Bassett, whom obviously they weren't cool at the time, I guess something inside of Candace told her, yo, this is wrong, because she called Karen Huger and said, I'm not going to tell her. So Karen, you tell her what they're trying to do. And, Monique would go live and her and Chris would go live together because they said, we need to speak out because now they're involving our young child. They were totally right for speaking out because she said they're trying to speak out on our child and we have to protect him. And she would talk about once the season was over, being traumatized, having PTSD. And she was like, I'm done with reality TV. So for Carlos King to reach out to her after all of that, after the plot to try and lie on her son's paternity, then the physical fight, her saying that she had PTSD from filming reality TV, to now being open to filming another reality TV show that speaks to Carlos's finesse. Oh my gosh. And I can remember them going live together, her and Carlos, to promote Love and Marriage DC. And she would say, I think Carlos said, like, I was in your DMs, you were ignoring me, girl. So I believe he reached out to her via DM and started the finesse. But he must got some game. He must have the gift of gab, because I remember Monique used to say how traumatized she was and she was done. And then she became open to working with him, only to say that he did her worse. And the podcaster, Jay, he was so surprised by that. He said, so you think that the producers of Love and Marriage DC did you worse than Potomac? She said, oh, yeah. And that was very shocking as well, because the way, Andy Cohen, in my opinion, gaslit her last reunion. I'm bringing up all of these things from the past to say she did have a traumatic experience on the Real Housewives of Potomac. So to shut down from reality TV, only to open back up because of Carlos' finesse, and then to realize, oh no, this experience was worse, that says a lot. And she said he could have waited at least till season 2 to trash me. So she didn't see it coming. And if you've watched a video that I made a few days ago or last week, I called it the Carlos Cocktail. And it was based off of the journalist Crystal Jordan, her article that she wrote about Bell Collective. And she dove into Letitia and Glenn from Bell Collective and there being like this paternity issue and he was cheating. And she talked about there being a pattern amongst his shows. So I said, yes, the Carlos Cocktail. You take a lead couple, add some cheating, and stir. And if you follow me on Instagram, I posed the question, do you drink the Carlos Cocktail with a sugar rim or salt? And it seems to be no different than this. But I guess once he realized that there was really not an infidelity issue there, he went with trying to present her as this mean wife to this rich, retired football player who seems super laid back. He just really vilified her, in my opinion. So that was really too bad. And so now I cannot blame her for leaving Love and Marriage DC. And here's what's really jacked up. So if you've been following Monique Samuels, you may have remembered a few years ago when People magazine reported that Monique was separating from her husband. Obviously, they are divorced now, but at that time, when People magazine printed that story, according to Monique, it was not true. And Monique seemed to not know who sent that story over to People. At the time, I was still thinking like, oh my gosh, she is such a mean wife to Chris. I was like, I think she sent it. I think this is a season 2 Love and Marriage DC storyline. But then Monique quit the show. She did not return. And now I see, because her season 1 experience was so horrible. Now, I know I can't prove it. I'm not going to say now who I think may have sent that story over to People, but oh my gosh, I think it's still giving storyline, but I don't think she sent the story over to People, because she totally dragged People magazine live on her YouTube channel. And then she quit the show. So I think she threw a wrench in production's game over on Love and Marriage DC. They did not see that coming. And I think that was like a storyline that someone was cooking up for her, and not the cook like Glorilla. And she said that the production was disorganized. She said both on and off camera. And for her to say it was disorganized on camera, in my opinion, that speaks to her having been on Potomac for several seasons. She joined season 2 of Potomac, and she was there through season 5 or 6. So I would imagine she can very well sniff out some disorganization for sure. And then she said off camera, and she was like, it was just a mess. So that says a lot. So if you want to check out his Mr. J Hill's interview with Monique Samuels, again, I will share the link for you all. Her speaking on Love and Marriage DC is the last 10 minutes of the interview. And I also just want to shout out Mr. J Hill for his ambiance, his stage, the setting. I absolutely love it, with him highlighting some awesome, amazing rappers. Rest in peace to Nipsey. And of course, we have 50 Cent and Jay-Z. And oh my gosh, that looks like Lil Bootsy. I'm not even, I mean, he can have whoever he wants up there. I'm like, why Bootsy? I'm feeling the other three, but oh my gosh. And then he has some liquor up there, and he, let her pin her products. And I've purchased her, some of her stuff before, the Flawless Glow Toner. It's very interesting. You have to keep it like in the fridge. And she actually took like a rice concoction, like a rice toner, and she was able to make it smell better because, ooh, rice toner, that ish can stink. So, definitely if you wanted to check her line out, you can. But I thank you all so much for checking out this video. Please hit the like button on this video, as it is a free way of supporting the channel. We are nearing the end of another work week. I am so thankful, so grateful. And I am a nerd who likes numbers. So this is Thursday. We are 80% through the work week, because there's 5 days, 20% each day, 80%, I'll take it. And tomorrow is Friday. So it is going to be a glorious, fantastic Friday for sure. I hope that you had a good day today. If for some reason you did not, don't stay in it. Try not to be anxious about it. Everything will work out, and tomorrow will be a much better day. And I will talk with you all soon. Bye.